I think one of the first times I was fingered, it was like he was digging.
That's my favorite, actually, transition of any interview I've ever done. Jumping right into it, how did things change as the team moved into season 2 for Pen15? Did it make a difference in the creation process knowing that people had seen and then loved the show, or were you pretty confident in where you were going all the time?
Never confident. That's number one.
Fair.
I'm the type of person, it's funny, I was just doing like a round table with a bunch of comedians and they were all talking about, how the laugh is really important and the rhythm of things. And the whole time I was just thinking like, I do so poorly with pressure. I actually do really poorly with, a live audience or, feeling like sometimes I feel doing other people's words that I haven't written, I find more intimidating because I don't want to disappoint them or,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh, I totally know.
There's something about doing our own work that takes the pressure off a little bit. And I think that, going into season 2, like no one was expecting of, me, Maya, and Sam weren't expecting for a lot of people to like it and love it. We were like, I think we'll find our niche, like we'll find our audience. They'll probably be quite small, and that's fine. And so, to be honest, going into season 2 and knowing that more people liked it than I had expected, I felt a lot of pressure, and I was scared that that was going to shut down the creative process.
Did it?
It was hard to get over that, I think, and we just kept on with the kind of mantra of we need to be inspired by it. We need to think it's funny. That's how we began with season 1. The other aspect was, we're in our 30s, obviously playing 13-year-olds. How do we keep evolving the project so we keep being stimulated by it? Because we first started developing this idea like 9 years ago or something insane. We're all really different people now. So what do we get excited about? We have the luxury of getting to decide that. And so we try to like stay in that headspace.
Did you have a plan heading into season 2 previously on what topics you wanted to tackle, or was that kind of organic as that breaking that story?
We had some, but not many. I think going into season 1, our mentality had been, we'll probably never be able to make this show again. So let's just bring in every topic that is important to us and do it now. And then so there were a lot of firsts in season 1. And I think season 2 was a less obvious arc to us going in. And we approached it more as kind of emotional firsts, and kind of the minutia of things that aren't, it's not your first kiss. It's not your, it's the first time you are an asshole to your mom and nice to your dad because innately your mom's too much like you and you're too much like your mom, and you just have learned that whatever your insecurity is, you project on the other. We were kind of just trying to look at the minutia of emotions and dig in that way.
But you just slept with him.
Excuse me?
Anna.
Last night, didn't you? I heard you go into her room. Didn't you not? I mean, do you just sleep with anybody? Are you in love with my dad? Are you just a Monica?
A Monica?
Lewinsky.
What kind of response have you seen from fans for the show? Like, what are you hearing from people and how does it make you feel?
It's very surreal. It's always very surreal. I think the surprise has been continually that the more specific, shameful, secret the story is, the more people will relate to it. And I think our assumption had been, okay, the more specific we get, the more we're going to alienate people, but that's our individual story, so it's important. So that's been really surprising that people and we'll have like, the more specific the story is, the more messages we get that's like, literally these 5 things all happen and it's like out of my diary. And you start to realize how universal the shame is, really, unfortunately, because it's things that Maya and I have each other to encourage the other to talk about it and say, wait, no, that is important, or that happened to me too. But we're best friends and it's easier to encourage each other than probably a normal writer's room, you know, where I would think certain things come up and you're like, I'm not going to say I did that, you know, like I'm going to say I have an idea or whatever, and I can't fully relate. But because of the comfort and the kind of stories we're trying to tell, you end up sharing some like darker secrets in the room where it's a little awkward after. And you're like, why did I do that? But then we have each other to kind of encourage those stories being important to tell. And yeah, people have been responsive to that, which has been really nice.
We want time alone together, because if we don't have time alone together, then we're not going to be able to get to the point where I have my first kiss.
Okay, it's just like, you're like, Brant. Shh. No, you're always like, Brant.
Shh.
It's just like, you're like, Brant.
Stop.
Brant,
Okay.
Brant.
Stop.
And I'm like, I can't hear
Stop.
it anymore. Brant.
Stop it, Anna!
What?
You're saying his name so loud. Like, you're crazy, honestly.
Is that your hair?
No.
Is that Brant's locker?
No.
Maya?
Stop saying his name.
I love that you say that, because I have found the show creates this sort of radical truth-telling sharing, and like I have to remove myself from my Twitter after I read it, because I was like, well, let me tell you what I did when I was 13, because that would go very poorly for me.
But maybe it wouldn't.
That's what I was thinking about, is that I think maybe the reason that everyone relates is because we all have these and we're not talking about it. We're not talking about how actually horrible adolescence is and the terrible things we do.
That's true. And I think too, there's sort of, at least what we keep talking about or realizing is there's a and it's not a new idea. So it's surprising that it's surprising, but we keep being surprised by how many of the female centric things we're just innately kind of shamed by. Even, you know, we all walk around with our period and we all get it at this age. And yet, you know, it's this huge secret, and it remains to be. You know, I'm in my 30s and I'm still like, you know, I could do a tampon, whatever. It's like, well, why does it have to be like, we're all experiencing this and we've all been kind of trained to not talk about it. And same with, you know, masturbation, or, you know, it's like, oh, this is really scary. And Maya is so amazing to put herself into the throes of it. But talking about masturbation starting at a young age, and it's like in school, that was the funniest joke ever, that the boys were masturbating, or and we knew it wasn't a joke, and it didn't have to be. Like, they would be seriously like, I'm gonna do that after school, and you'd be like, haha, and
haha, gross,
haha, ew, haha, you're hot, like whatever. It was like okay to do. And then meanwhile, there was Maya's like, you know, shamed into that it's wrong. And I remember there was a rumor that went around about me in 7th grade that I masturbated with an ice cube, which is a whole nother story, and I didn't. But
and there's always the hot dog girl, like you always hear about. The
hot dog, the peanut butter,
the peanut butter,
the dog, really,
and you think in the time that like, that's, wow, you guys came up with that, like someone came up with that and had never thought of it before, and then this rumor, and it's
completely original, and it must be a reflection of something that's wrong with me, you know. And then you realize that it's a pervasive issue that we're kind of taught is individual shame, but it's something we've all been taught.
It's not me, because I don't have it, but what if it was like Santa came and like literally bled on a pad and like put it in the toilet?
Nah, I'm pretty sure it was you.
I don't have my period. Stop.
It obviously was.
Oh my God. Maura, you're being crazy, actually.
Maura?
Stop.
She wants her privacy.
Guys, stop. You're being crazy. Stop.
Maura, your foot's bleeding. What? Wait, what's... Oh my
God! The amount that those are kind of basic, obvious things, and yet we are not seeing them in our 30s as progressive, like liberal women, and talking about them and being like, this is scary, you know, keeps kind of telling us to keep going with it.
Oh, sure. Like, I mean, I think that the way the show approaches teen girl horniness is very liberating, because I think I know a lot of people who like were 13 years old and like, let's do the sex, or like,
but like, let's like experiment with our body.
Around.
And I definitely, you know, I didn't masturbate till I was like 25 or something, probably because I had been shamed.
Your voice
that it
lowered.
was-
Your voice lowered when you were like, I didn't
Don't tell
masturbate.
anyone.
Oh my God. You
Yeah,
guys.
exactly. I know it's still, I'm
I
like,
know.
don't tell anybody, but who's on the other side of this wall, as though this isn't gonna, be public.
No, exactly.
I didn't do that until I was in my 20s, and that it could definitely be because it was either like overly sexualized, where like you were, a slut in a good way or something, or you were shamed and something was wrong with you because you were too sexual or whatever. There's no right way to be sexual or discover your sexuality as a girl. It was all wrong. You're just supposed to be on the receiving end of the eyes of other people, but you don't have the ability to have the eyes,
Have you thought about what happened on Friday?
What are you talking about?
You're being so funny right now. Like...
Fuck.
Sorry.
Jesus.
Like when me, you, and Anna, went into the closet and, up and down circles.
And then we would jump right to like glamour, and they would be like very ways to drive your man wild. And it's like, that's great, because I have no idea how to turn myself on, like the mechanics of how to do all that. We just jump right to, pleasing your man and finding the whatever. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
So true. And to the extent that it's still like that too is interesting.
Absolutely.
But I was definitely obsessed with like not doing things the wrong way. And I wasn't thinking about what I wanted, when I think one of the first times I was fingered, it was like he was digging.
That's my favorite actually transition of any interview I've ever done. So thank you. I've
been dying to talk about this. He was like digging for gold. Like there was like no end point to my vagina. It was not fun. It was not fun. But it was my first time. So I was like, this is what it is. And then I'm like waddling around for days because, but I'm not thinking of like, did I enjoy that? I'm still thinking, did I do it right? Was I right? Was I wrong? Whatever. So
was he grossed out? Was it like, was I
right? That's where I'm thinking. Yeah, I was like, I don't know. Was he grossed out? No, but that's what I was in my head, definitely of like, is something wrong with me?
Oh my God, that's
so sad.
This got really real.
Yeah.
But like, that's the beautiful thing about the show, is that it goes to these right or wrong, uncomfortable places of adolescence. Is that cathartic for you to an extent, or does it sometimes feel like, and I know like this season gets into Anna's parents' divorce, like is it sometimes just painful?
Yeah, it's both. I mean, it's cathartic to talk about things that you've been told not to talk about, but it's still scary. I still get the twitch of like, you're not supposed to talk about that. And I have to think through that and go, no, it's fine. There are definitely scenes that you don't want to go back to, but I think it'll be it's hard to dissect it now because I'm so in it. It'll be interesting to look back in 10 years and be like, was that more harmful or helpful? I think the stuff with my parents and their divorce and the fighting in that episode 3 in particular of the second season, gets in a lot of the detail of that. And it's very true to what I grew up in. And that was weird. And it also, I had to keep checking in with is this an important story to tell? I wanted it to be as true to real life as possible, because I didn't see a lot of that growing up in the media, and I felt so alone in it, and I think that it was really through reading memoirs and stuff that I felt like, okay, other people are going through this too, and so it was important to us to share the stories that you feel alone in, and usually I think there's both humor and sadness and all of the, lowest moments. So we get to do that, which is really nice.
You're the one that wanted a divorce.
No.
Yes. No. We said it was a separation. And you're making it impossible for me to live with you.
You don't get to do that.
I'm talking. No, wait, I get on this teacup. What's wrong with you?
I was gonna ask, like, does it feel better because you're able to go to those places with Maya and like know you have this safe place that you might not have had back then?
Yeah, well, really well said. I felt, I was saying that to Maya recently, that the reality is I never watched I spied on my parents fighting all the time, but I never watched with anybody, and it was a secret. If I went to school, like I learned as I got older to make jokes about it or be like, yeah, my parents fucking hate each other, whatever, like as a joke. But I didn't tell people the depth of what it was. I felt shame about it, so it was a secret. And so it was really amazing getting to watch with her in that scene and rewrite history, that I'm not, going upstairs to my room alone and crying. I'm being pulled out of this situation by my best friend into the woods to play pretend. That's really cool. And I think it's partly a metaphor for what I did get the privilege of feeling when I was a kid, was escaping into other people's families and my best friends' lives and people that allowed me to be part of their family too.
To lighten it a little bit.
Sure.
Have there been moments in the show that just like, it's so awkward that it's hard to like stand in that moment and commit to it?
Yes, all the time. I mean, one of them was definitely in the first season, Anna's first kiss, which in real is based on my real life first kiss, which was like an alien tongue, just like drilling the back of my throat. And we really wanted to show that because it was so many people were like, I have the same experience. I had the same experience. We had my partner now, he came and was the body double. And I was like, that was really crazy. The racism episode, first season, of like reporting that racism existed to the principal, was really awkward, and them like not helping at all. That felt too real, kind of.
Well-meaning whiteness was
right.
Hard to kind of stand and
look
at it directly.
I kept being like, I'm bombing this. I don't know what this, I'm not doing this scene well. And Maya was like, I think you just feel uncomfortable. I was like, I think you're right.
You and Maya and your respective families have had separate projects during the pandemic, expansion projects. Do you foresee that changing how you look at the show, like kind of switching over, like you've switched teams a little bit from just the child to now the parent as well? It's a little early in the process. But
No, but the answer is yes. I mean, I will say that. So we just had a daughter, and she, I when I first heard that it was a girl, I got really scared, because of the pressures of how I felt, and the pressures on girls, and especially now, and there's a whole element of social media that I can't relate to. I was just telling Alex that there's so much that I do relate to about being young. And if it was year 2000 still, I'd be good. I'd be like, I can tell you everything.
I literally told my wife, like, I don't want to raise a child in 2020. I want to raise a child in like 2000, like when I understood things, when I was still like at the top of the cool chain. Like I understood all of the things. I could explain it to my parents. I don't want to be my parents now.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I wonder if it's how our parents felt. I'm sure to some extent, but I think it's more extreme now because it's this whole other world that's been developed online that's not real, that kids think is real. Now we as adults struggle with as being real, Yeah,
absolutely.
So my answer for social media is just not to use it a lot, because I just don't feel great when I do. And how do you tell your kid that when it's just all that they seem to do now? And other than that, I mean, I wonder how she'll feel when someday, I hope she watches the show. I think she's going to be like, you're so embarrassing, because that's probably what I would have said.
Absolutely. She'll absolutely say that.
Yeah.
But like then 10 years later, she'll get how cool you are.
I hope so.
Stay out, weaklings.
Just keep going.
Stay out.
Just keep
What
going.
are you doing?
You're not allowed in there.
I'm gonna hex you.
Like, honestly, I have to. If you don't, because we're trying to do a thing.
Someone's getting the principal.
You need to leave! Die!
But yeah, the aspect of not being, there is an element, I think, though, of not being the kid anymore. Like you said, that there is a slightly less interest to break apart the minutia of my individual life, you know, of like, okay,
Right.
I don't want to like move on. The healing it's starting to heal. You know what I mean?
God, this is such a shitty thing to say. Once you move into inflicting the the damage on your child, you focus less on your own, because you're like, okay, well, this is an inevitable thing we're gonna do.
That's so real. I mean, believe me, I have to accept that we're not going to do it perfectly, you know, and even if we tried, which I can't because I'll drive myself insane.
No,
she will grow up and be like, you messed up in this way. You know, I don't think you can get around that. I'm going to do my best, but I want to accept it too, you know?
We talked a little bit about people coming to you and being like recognizing themselves in the show. Have you gotten anything from men specifically that are like, oh my God, I was terrible. I'm sorry, I was terrible as a teenage boy. And what has that been like?
Yeah, recently a couple people have said, like, without judgment, but you boys in your show are all assholes. And every time I'm like, they are, because I when we're writing them, for the most part, we're writing them from the same place that we're writing Anna and Maya, which is they're doing their best to survive, and this is the means to survive.
And Anna and Maya are complete assholes as well. I think it's all about where you see yourself as the asshole. So that makes a lot of sense. Like, but yeah, I've always found it to be you've been very fair to the boys. And I think that's helped by the fact that they're actual little boys.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because it's been men that have been saying that, which though I find really interesting, because, and then another guy was like, I recognized how I could be an asshole at that age, and like it made me want to apologize. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet, but also thinking you were doing what you saw, what you were thought you were supposed to do and were told was masculine, or was told was the expectation, you know?
Big hairy bush that smells like fish. I didn't say that. Brent and the guy said that. Come on, fight. Let's go. It's not a big deal. It's just a joke. Come on, let's go.
Stop.
It's just a joke.
Hatch?
When was the last time you and Maya were actually able to hang out, like spend time together?
It's been a really long time. I mean, when we were editing, we were always on Zoom, so all day, every day. So that was helpful and really wonderful. But like just in person, we haven't been able to. We just got vaccinated, so we're going to do that really soon and get the babies together and hope that they end up being best friends.
Obviously. Oh my God, Anna, this was amazing. Thank you so much. Just know that like all of your Pen15 Nation is going to be weeping inside when you two are finally able to hang out again.
Oh,
thank you so much for making something so beautiful and pure, and putting yourself out there, and for making time to speak with me on a Saturday. Okay. Thank you so much. Go have a good one.
You too. Bye.